Isabella Hartley is my name. My upbringing was steeped in a devout Catholic environment, where faith and profound religious values were at the center of our lives. My parents were deeply committed to their beliefs, nurturing me with a strong yet affectionate approach. They instilled in me the conviction that life held a profound purpose, encouraging me to devote myself to faith and service. From an early age, I sensed that I stood apart from others. As my peers immersed themselves in fantasies of romance and companionship, I experienced a profound urge to dedicate my existence to God and the service of others. People frequently observed me, perhaps due to my appearance, with my long brown hair and bright eyes, or perhaps because of my calm demeanor and the unwavering faith I consistently endeavored to uphold. However, I welcomed the attention. I consistently aimed to remain grounded and concentrated on a singular purpose: to become a nun, offering solace and hope to those in distress. Despite my efforts to cling to my beliefs, I came to understand that I was still youthful and lacked experience in navigating the complexities of the world around me. Deep down, I remained a young woman with delicate feelings, easily influenced. Even though I had embraced the journey of religious life, the spiritual trials I encountered continued to leave me unsettled. At that moment, I did not completely grasp the strength that a life of faith demanded, that my commitment to belief was not merely a decision, but a profound trial of spirit and unwavering resolve. Upon my initial encounter with Pastor Gabriel Lancaster, I found myself a woman brimming with uncertainties, yearning for a support to rely upon. Andrew was a serene and dedicated individual of faith who emanated a remarkable tranquility. He frequently presented himself with a serene smile, a tranquil gaze, and a soft yet impactful manner of speaking. His unwavering commitment to his congregation, his profound listening skills, and his insightful guidance made me feel as though I had discovered a true mentor. He is the person who can assist me in navigating the worries, doubts, and chaos that confront me daily. Initially, I approached Andrew merely to express my frustrations, seeking solace in his insights. He consistently devoted his attention to me, offering a patient ear and withholding any judgment. He sat there, across from me, absorbing the words I struggled to voice to anyone else. I sensed a freedom to reveal my vulnerabilities and the chaos within my heart without any apprehension. I was convinced that he was the one sent by a higher power to guide me toward the path of illumination. As time passed, I slowly came to see Andrew as someone dear and completely trustworthy. I frequently participated in the prayer gatherings he led, resonated with his teachings on a profound level, and discovered tranquility in the faith he imparted. Andrew served as a guiding figure, assisting me in slowly letting go of the fixations within my heart. His presence in my life was akin to a beacon, illuminating my path and providing a comforting sense of security as I navigated each day. This intimacy slowly unveiled unforeseen avenues. As time went on, our discussions grew more regular and felt like they transcended the typical exchange between a pastor and a parishioner. It's hard to pinpoint the exact moment of transformation. Yet with every glance and every word, a new significance began to emerge. He regarded me not merely as someone seeking direction, but as a dear companion. The spaces that separated us began to fade, and in a fleeting moment of vulnerability, I became ensnared in a tempest of indistinct and intricate feelings. One day, following a weekend service, I lingered at church longer than I typically would. Andrew lingered in the gentle glow of the lamp, his gaze locked onto mine. Only silence filled the church, with no one else present. We settled in together, and it was as though I had slipped into a realm meant solely for the two of us. Andrew's expression had shifted away from its typical seriousness. He recounted the burdens he had faced, the nights spent awake, and the instances of vulnerability he felt unable to reveal to anyone. He articulated the sensation of isolation, a sentiment I was intimately familiar with. In that instant, every barrier I had crumbled away. I had always seen him as a source of unwavering strength, but now I understood that he was merely a human, grappling with his own pain and challenges like the rest of us. My hand softly brushed against his, and in that moment, I sensed a powerful rhythm in his palm. It was an odd yet recognizable sensation, a bond that I never anticipated discovering in this place. The dialogue slowly faded into an uneasy quiet. Yet no one seemed inclined to depart. As I departed from the church, I realized that the unseen barrier that once separated us had vanished, leaving me with an unsettling void. The following day, I convinced myself that it was merely a fleeting fantasy and that all those emotions would eventually fade away. Yet the sensation lingered on. Instead, it intensified, akin to a smoldering fire poised for the perfect moment to erupt. Slowly, our gatherings evolved into more intimate and personal encounters. I started to understand that my visits to Andrew were about more than seeking advice or solace. I embarked on a journey to discover the true essence of his being. Shortly thereafter, my parents invited Andrew to their home to offer a blessing for the family. As my mother had been feeling unwell lately, his presence and prayers were thought to usher in good fortune and tranquility. Upon receiving the news, a heavy weight settled in my chest. Anticipation and anxiety swirled within me as I contemplated how to confront him in the familiar confines of my own home. On that day, I meticulously arranged each element for the ceremony. I endeavored to maintain my composure, striving for perfection while concealing any trace of unease. As Andrew stepped into the room, time seemed to pause, obscuring the world around me. He appeared composed and solemn, as was his usual demeanor, yet there was a glint in his eyes that only I could decipher. He acknowledged my parents, his demeanor respectful and serious. He readied himself in silence, arranging each item on the modest altar we had set up, the dancing candlelight casting shadows across his features. I stood next to him, maintaining a careful distance, yet my heart trembled uncontrollably. His every move resonated within me, evoking the profound conversations we once shared and the emotions I had endeavored to conceal. As the prayer commenced, Andrew positioned himself before the altar, lowering his head in solemn devotion. His voice resonated, rich and commanding, drawing me into an alternate realm, a realm where it was just the two of us, despite the presence of others still attentive to our exchange. Each word of his prayer seemed to penetrate deep into my soul. I remained rooted in place, burdened by countless questions and regrets. Yet there was an undeniable flicker of longing that continued to ignite within me. Following the service, my parents invited Andrew to join us for dinner that evening as it was getting late. He nodded, a calm smile gracing his lips. Yet I alone perceived the undercurrent swirling in his eyes. As farewells were exchanged and the night deepened, a hush enveloped the house. The sound of my footsteps resonated gently against the wooden floor, while my heart brimmed with unexplainable emotions. This evening, Andrew occupied the living room, mere steps from my own space. An overwhelming compulsion gripped me, an unseen force that rendered me incapable of diverting my thoughts from him. The hours dragged on, and I found myself restless, unable to find solace in sleep. The relentless ticking of the clock echoed in my ears, amplifying the turmoil swirling in my mind. The notion of right or wrong faded away, replaced by a powerful sensation that something was imminent, something I had foreseen yet felt reluctant to resist. In that instant, my clarity abandoned me, rendering me fragile, hollow, and desperate for liberation. I rose silently, making my way gently to the living room door, where Andrew lay at ease. My hand clutched the doorknob while my heart raced, yearning to break free from my chest. With a steadying breath, I pushed the door open. The only noise that filled the air was the quick rhythm of my own breath. I stepped into the room quietly, the faint glow from the window gently illuminating the surroundings while igniting a flickering flame within me. Andrew lifted his gaze, our eyes locking in the stillness of the night. Words were unnecessary. A mere glance into his eyes conveyed everything. It was clear to me that he was just as conflicted as I felt. His eyes mirrored the emotions I held within, yearning, and anguish. In that instant, all the limits I had ever established for myself vanished. I moved nearer to him, shedding my distance, abandoning all reason. Andrew's hand rested on my shoulder, a gentle touch that felt like a violation of every principle and value we had ever cherished. His eyes softened, shedding the image of the stern pastor in the pulpit I had once respected, revealing instead a man filled with longings, weaknesses, and desires. In that instant, we were two spirits searching for solace in one another, yet simultaneously two individuals submerged in transgression and desire. Words failed to capture the emotions I experienced at that moment. Andrew, whom I had previously regarded as an embodiment of faith and unwavering strength, now appeared before me as a man grappling with deeply human emotions. I rested my hand on his chest, sensing each powerful beat that felt like a tempest within me. We were fully aware of the unfolding situation, yet neither of us had any desire to put an end to it. In silence, we allow our feelings to seep through our looks and our exhales. His arms wrapped around me, tender yet commanding. His heartbeat pulsed with intensity, a tempest swirling within us. I found myself transformed, and perhaps Andrew was too. We found ourselves ensnared in a relentless spiral, one that neither of us wished to break free from. In that moment, a sense of safety washed over me, yet I was also engulfed in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, as if this moment had been the culmination of a lifetime of anticipation. In his embrace, I experienced a profound sense of safety and intimacy like never before. Yet, concurrently, I found myself consumed by a slow-growing regret, a sensation of disloyalty to every conviction, every principle I had ever chased. Yet, my rationale slipped away as he leaned in. His deep voice, once a source of admiration, now sending chills down my spine. We were acutely aware that it was an unforgivable transgression. Yet it was also a moment forever etched in our memories. That night, my heart wandered through a labyrinth of longing, devoid of logic. Every detail escapes my memory, yet I recall that in his embrace, I shed all moral constraints and cast aside my regrets. The lengthy night unfolded in quietude. Not a single word escaped our lips. Only embraces, gentle caresses, and feelings long kept at bay filled the air. I couldn't tell how much time had slipped away, but as the first light of dawn crept through the window, it became clear that I had transformed into someone entirely different from who I had been the day before. That night, after we had utterly abandoned our sense of reason, being in Andrew's embrace brought a sense of calm to everything. As I drifted into slumber, a blend of tranquility and anguish enveloped me, unaware that this night would mark a pivotal moment in my existence. As the darkness of the sky lingered, I remained nestled in his embrace, savoring the tranquil cadence that enveloped us following a night steeped in desire and transgression. Suddenly, a jarring sound pierced the silence, jolting both Andrew and me from our slumber. It was my father. He had glimpsed us through the narrow opening of the door, left ajar since the previous night. At that instant, a wave of fear and shock surged through me. My father stood there, his eyes wide, brimming with astonishment and disillusionment. He was in disbelief at what he had just witnessed, and Andrew and I could only exchange silent, fearful glances with him. My father's voice boomed through the house, echoing off the walls and leaving Andrew and me in a state of shock, unsure of how to confront him. The atmosphere in the room felt as if it had solidified. His harsh words pierced through me like daggers. Each knife pierced my heart, a surge of regret and shame flooding me as I confronted my father. Andrew remained silent, his head lowered, and I felt an overwhelming reluctance to meet his gaze. I realized the extent of my disappointment to him, shattering the trust and respect he had invested in me. My father remained silent, yet his eyes betrayed a deep well of pain. He whirled around abruptly, leaving the two of us enveloped in a profound silence. We stood there, enduring the agony of our shared gaze, unsure of our next move or the words to express our feelings. Andrew gently put his hand on my shoulder in an attempt to comfort me, but I could feel my heart breaking apart. In the days that followed, I found myself too afraid to leave the confines of my room or meet my father's gaze, consumed by the sense that I had shattered the trust he once held for me. Andrew approached my father, attempting to convey his willingness to take responsibility for his actions. Yet my father was resolute in his refusal to listen. He gazed at Andrew in silence, his face a canvas of anger and disappointment. Only when Andrew expressed his desire to marry me to fulfill his duty and to care for me for the rest of his life did my father momentarily pay attention. He urged the family to maintain this confidentiality, ensuring that no one would discover the secret we had both inadvertently revealed. After much contemplation and wavering, my father ultimately consented to Andrew's proposal. It's clear that this choice weighed heavily on him. A fragment of his heart remained unforgiving. Yet he made an effort to embrace acceptance. Once the chaos subsided, Andrew and I finally celebrated our wedding, fully aware that we would encounter curious glances and whispers regarding our age difference. Yet amidst everything, I sensed Andrew's love for me and his unwavering resolve to atone and bring me joy, a feeling I never anticipated experiencing after all that had transpired. Our wedding unfolded in a cozy yet unpretentious setting. Despite the constant murmurs and wary glances from those around us, we chose to face every obstacle and challenge together. Andrew emerged as my steadfast companion, the individual I could lean on during my most vulnerable times, and the one who was prepared to sacrifice everything to support me, even in the face of criticism and disdain from every direction. Despite my father's heartfelt acquiescence, I sensed a deep-seated struggle within him to fully forgive me. I often found myself haunted by that thought. Yet it also fueled my determination to demonstrate that I could live joyfully and honor Andrew's sacrifice, along with the patience my father had shown me. Following the wedding, Andrew and I embarked on our new journey, facing numerous challenges ahead. We encountered judgment and whispers from those around us. Despite being a respected pastor, Andrew faced criticism for marrying someone significantly younger and under such scandalous circumstances. Despite this swirling gossip, we found solace in the support of a few close individuals who recognized love and forgiveness as fundamental rights for everyone. The most profound struggle within me was my bond with my father. Even though he consented to our union, I sensed that he had not genuinely moved past my transgressions. My father no longer regarded me with the same admiration as he once did. Instead, he regarded me with a sense of disappointment and detachment. I realized I had caused him pain, breaking the vision he had envisioned for me. In the early years of our marriage, my father and I seldom engaged in the profound conversations we once shared. Yet I persisted in my efforts. I stood by him through it all, assisting with the tasks at home and savoring the small pleasures that life offered from time to time. Slowly, the quiet moments we shared began to feel less strained. Over time, my father and I gradually repaired our relationship, piece by piece, and it felt as though I was experiencing the cherished moments of the past with him once again. Regarding Andrew, he fulfilled his commitment. He transformed into a devoted husband, consistently present for me in my times of need. As a way to make amends for all we had endured together, he was not just my lover, he was my mentor, steering me through my missteps and encouraging my growth along the way. Through his unwavering devotion and genuine love, I discovered the strength to confront my true self, to appreciate each fleeting moment, and to extend my heart fully to others. Reflecting on my journey, I came to understand just how much I had absorbed along the way. The suffering and anguish I endured were not merely the consequences of my errors, but also the path I took to discover my true self. I discovered that love can be complex and challenging. Unexpected and seemingly wrong circumstances can reveal to us the profound significance of forgiveness, patience, and unconditional love. At last, my narrative can conclude with a serene resolution. My life with Andrew slowly found its balance. We had a home, imperfect yet sufficient, allowing both of us to find happiness within its walls. The storms have cleared, the errors acknowledged, and we chose to forge a new future side by side. I had transformed from the fragile and naive girl of my youth into a mature woman, fully aware of the significance of love and the power of forgiveness. My journey was filled with pain, yet it ultimately led to a sense of peace. I came to realize that life is far from perfect. It is through our mistakes and challenges that we uncover the genuine essence of love and happiness. My experiences have taught me that love and relationships can be a source of strength, but they can also quickly become places where we stumble and make mistakes. One essential piece of advice I would share with everyone is to consistently uphold your own values and principles, regardless of the situation. Maintain control over your emotions and stay true to what is right. Above all, embrace your mistakes with honesty and bravery. At times, acknowledging your errors and seeking solutions can lead to a deeper sense of tranquility than attempting to conceal them. Simultaneously, hold dear those who care for you and ensure that ignorance or a fleeting lapse in judgment does not obliterate those invaluable connections. Ultimately, embrace the power of forgiveness for both yourself and those around you. True happiness can only be found when we embrace the art of tolerance.